Live Live Podcast with your host, Jose Arqueta.
Welcome back, everybody. I'm back. As you can see, I have the headphones back again. I know last episode, everybody's like, what happened to the headphones? I was like, you know what? We had some technical difficulties, but we got it back up and running. So I'm excited to be back, guys. I'm always looking forward to release another episode. I'm always looking forward for my next guest. So I'm really, really excited. And but before I start this episode is being sponsored by Revive Beauty Bar. Feeling drained? Need an instant energy boost? I know I do right now. At Revive Beauty Bar Aesthetics, I can never say aesthetics, bro. Like, man, my paisa in me. They offer premium IV therapy treatments designed to replenish and rehydrate and revive your body from the inside out. Whether you're recovering from a long week, you know what I mean, drinking over the weekend, doing it big, or you just want to boost your immune system or enhance your overall wellness. Their IV drips deliver essential vitamins, minerals, and hydration directly into your bloodstream for fast, effective results. Step into self-care and let Revive Beauty Bar Aesthetics. There you go, I said it right. Aesthetics. Bring you back to your best self, refresh, recharge, and ready to conquer your day. Now, there's going to be a QR code right here. Not pointing on the coffee. QR code right here. Scan it, and it'll take you directly to revivebeautybar.aesthetics.com. And just get your appointment. Let them know that Live Life Podcast sent you. I highly recommend it. I still got to go do that little micro needling so I can look younger. But yeah, guys. So welcome back to Live Life Podcast, where I like to dive deep on inspiring stories of individuals who overcome challenges and build a life-driven passion and ambition. That's the whole goal about this podcast, right? Today, I'm honored to sit down with Gregory Delgadillo, a Salinas-born entrepreneur, chef, and jiu-jitsu enthusiast who has navigated a journey filled with perseverance and purpose. Gregory's story is one of transformation from growing up in a tough environment in the 90s and early 2000s to traveling the world, mastering his craft in cooking, and building the Rice Gai, or Gay. How do you say it, bro?
Guy, yeah.
Guy, the Rice Gai.
The Rice Gai.
A brand that embodies his dedication to food, culture, and community. His inspiration from the legends like Anthony and Rachel Ray, and his ultimate mission is to turn his culinary dream into reality, which he has. Welcome.
Hey, what's up? Thank you. Thank you for having me.
No, thank you for being here. But I usually do have a gift for you.
Okay.
I usually do, but I dropped the ball on this one.
Hey, no
I didn't get our sponsor. No, I still got you. I didn't get my sponsor, Hoax Jerky. I'm sorry I didn't get you, girl. But if you guys need beef jerky, Hoax Jerky, she's the girl you want to hit her up on Instagram, Hoax Beef Jerky. Let her know that Live Life Podcast sent you. But I do have a gift. I don't have beef jerky, but I do have a gift for you, bro.
Hey, let's go.
I have the famous mug of Live Life Podcast.
Oh, hey.
There you go. This you got your coffee in the
Perfect.
morning.
Thank you.
Or your beer, bro, whatever preference you want.
I go both ways, so.
Yeah, so now I just got those not too long ago, so I was like, we still got to release them on the website
Hey,
for
that's
sale.
cool.
Yeah. It has a little quote on the back, so it's pretty cool.
Yeah, I saw you also have like some shirts and stuff you're selling as well.
Yeah, we're getting ready to launch some merch,
That's cool.
So yeah,
Awesome.
I'm excited about that project,
Yeah.
about this project. But yeah, man, I mean, welcome. I know you reached out.
Yep.
And I was like, yeah, dude, and obviously you fill out the form, and I looked at it, I was like, oh, dude, yeah, I liked your story. I was impacted right away, and I was like, I can't wait to sit down with this guy and listen to him. I like cooking too as well.
Nice.
And there was a point in time where I really wanted to pursue cooking. I was like, man, should I just go to San Francisco Fine Arts School, whatever, for culinary? But at that time, I was helping my dad work. So I was like, I never took that a step like you did. But I really want to know, how was your traveling, cooking at Thailand and stuff like that? We'll dive into that. But as I like to start the episode, excuse me, is your journey, your humble beginnings here in
Yep,
Salinas, right? So you mentioned obviously you were born here in Salinas, California,
Yep.
right?
Also, I lived in Gonzales. Like, so I lived in Salinas basically my whole like childhood, and then my last 4 years I moved over to Gonzales and finished high school right there to get a little different perspective, I guess, of the 831. Honestly.
You know, I was gonna ask you about that too because I live in Gonza.
Okay, cool.
Yeah, I live in Gonza.
Hey.
Yeah, and I love Gonzales. It's a small little town. But I asked all these questions to Salinas natives, right? What were some of the biggest challenges you faced during your childhood here in Salinas?
Man, a lot, I would say. Salinas at that time, for me, and like growing up, I got met with a lot of like gang stuff. If I was just playing outside with my friends, I had cousins and stuff that on one side were, just playing dodgeball, and then right down the street, someone's like, selling drugs. And the step between those two worlds it was so fine, or like so there almost wasn't a big step from one side or the other of the block. So I think not getting caught up, which I did, in having those types of friends in Salinas at that time, because I met a lot of people that sold drugs, had guns, robbed people. I like cousins and friends that if you just hung out with them too much, they're like, hey, go in the store and
Oh wow.
grab a Snicker bar or something for me.
Yeah.
And you're like, all right, cool. Because you're the little guy. Like, and they send you in. So just slowly but surely, you getting wrapped up into doing things that you probably shouldn't do. And I think that was probably definitely the hardest part. And looking back now, knowing that I did get caught up in that, it's like, dang, I'm kind of lucky that I didn't keep pursuing those types of things, because a lot of my cousins and friends that I knew at that time, are not doing too well right now. Some people went to prison, some people, passed away, and some people just aren't doing too well.
What part of Salinas was that?
I lived on a bunch of sides. My grandma, she lived over there by the Rodeo, and then my mom lived on like over there by Creek Bridge.
Okay.
And then my dad, he lived over on like the east side.
Okay.
I can't remember the name of the apartments, but I would always be just jumping around. So I kind of got a lot of different looks. Yeah.
I grew up in La Costa Plaza, bro. La Costa Plaza. Back then, La Costa Plaza was really, really hot.
Yeah, that's where my cousin lived.
Yeah, really, really hot. La Costa Plaza. So.
And it was well known.
Yeah.
Even as a little kid, I was only like 12. And they was like, yeah, don't go there. And I had like a couple of cousins that lived there. And you had to be, or I would hear like stories of like my cousin, or my tias talking. And then my dad would like, oh yeah, last night we saw a guy get like jumped or something. And
Sorry.
Oh, you're good. So it's just, even as a little kid, you're just hearing these like kind of crazy stories. And then you're growing up in that, and you're like, all right, cool. I gotta like be safe. You know what I mean? Like I gotta, if the adults are talking about this, I also too. And then you're seeing it kind of firsthand.
Yeah.
And,
so, yeah, it's crazy. I remember, like, where do you live at? Costa Plaza? Like, what? Really? It's crazy. But, I was growing up. I didn't think nothing of it, I did see the OGs, triple Gs hanging around and stuff like that, but they never messed around with us when we were kids because they knew we were from the hood. But as you start getting older, then you start getting pulled into that environment, I think we all went through that, I remember when I went through my cholo phase. Yeah. We all go through that.
And I went through that phase, and it's so funny because I'm not that. Like, I don't think I was ever that. But just the people I hung out with, that's all they wore, like the red shirts and the 501s, and, they sagged their jeans, and they sold weed, and, they would have like a little mini gang, or like my cousins, like, they got to the point where they actually like had guns and stuff, and it's like, what are you doing?
It's crazy, bro. Before he used to sell weed, make some money. Now weed is actually legal.
Yeah.
You want to get close to your mic, yeah, or fix it like straight. Sorry, bro. Should have fixed it earlier. But yeah, it's amazing how far state of California has come to that point that they legalized marijuana, but federal is still illegal, right? But all those guys lost a lot of business.
That was kind of like my dream, because growing up, like I had cousins that just sold weed, so that's what I did. They showed me that you can make money. I could buy Pokemon cards. You know what I mean? Like, so that's just, we would just buy a bunch of dumb stuff. We would like rent video games, get Jamba Juice, but we would also sell weed, so our money wasn't going to anything like nefarious.
Bad. Yeah. You
It
guys
was
were just buying the
going to
what you
Toys
guys-
R Us and getting a new bike or something like that. You know what I mean? And so it's really funny. So as I started growing up, I was like, oh, I wanted to be in the weed industry. And then at some point, I had told myself, it's, weed is like a childish dream. Like,
Right.
and then like years later, here we go. It's like millions of dollar business, billions, I would say probably. Yeah.
So you went to different schools, I'm assuming then. Since you moved around a lot.
Kind of, yeah. Well, I went to in Salinas, El Gablan View, and then I went to Alvarez for a bit, and then I moved to Gonzales my freshman year.
Here, my next question is this. I know we talked about it before we hit record about, having a lot of people that move out of Salinas, and they never want to move back because it's a small city. Or, I mean, it's not small, but their view changes a lot, right? I've had the privilege to be around, Texas, Oregon, Florida, Arizona. I mean, I wouldn't trade it anything. There was a point I thought about moving to Texas, but I love it here. I mean,
It's nice.
I'm happy. There's no reason for me to move, right? But I live in Gonzales. You mentioned that, obviously you went to school over there. I live in Gonzales, and I love the little town. Small, tight community. All the neighbors know each other. You know what I mean? Hey, my son's birthday, you're invited. All right, let's go. And my neighbors own the 4th Street Tap House in Gonzales.
Okay.
So it's like, man, free beer.
Yeah.
My neighbor has a fridge full of beer, dude. So it's kind of like I walk in, I feel like that little tone, like, you know what I mean? So I love Gonzales. I don't like the fact that the only thing I don't like about Gonzales, I'm sorry, guys. I'm sorry. It's the PD. You know what I mean? That's the only thing I don't like about that. But you live in Gonzales. How was it you living over there? Did you like it? Did you just feel like different than Salinas?
It was much different than Salinas.
Yeah.
Gonzales, when I was growing up there, it was like, oh man, a giant like sandbox for the kids. I thought, such a small town. The parents all leave the town to go to work, right?
Yeah.
So in the morning, almost at least my family, they would had a job in Salinas or a job somewhere else, And I know a lot of my friends, their family also left to go work in San Jose, Salinas, somewhere else. So after school for us, we had like kind of this like giant city to run around. You had to go play basketball at the park, or we would just run back to our place. We had like a after school boxing every Thursday when the school would like let us out early. We would go box in the backyard. Like we just did a bunch of crazy stuff that in Salinas, I guess I wasn't old enough at that point, but it was more in Salinas very like I was very caught up in this like kind of gang kind of stuff. And then when I went to Gonzales, there was still that. There's, definitely gangs in Gonzales too. But it's like no rivalries. Everyone has got in the same gang in Gonzales. So they're all repping the same thing.
Yeah.
So at least from my perspective there, but it was just a lot of freedom in Gonzales for me, which was really fun. Right. We got into trouble, but it was always like light trouble.
It was
something
nothing crazy compared to
nothing, a little fighting, a little bit of, parties and stuff. And it never got to anything too extreme versus when I would go back to Salinas and go visit like my family back after living in Gonzales for a bit. It was definitely more like there was a lot more tension. Like if I were to hang out somewhere, I couldn't stay out too late. I had to be careful and hang out with the right people. Or if I see the wrong group of people, hey, we should probably go. But in Gonzales, man, it's just kind of like good times, kind of like a 90s movie. Like, like we had prom and we had dances and we had like, I think the school did a really good job of keeping the fun, that it didn't go like sideways into like a dark place. All the like the dances and the parties, they were really on top of it. So I think that kept just like allowed me to keep like kind of being a kid.
Right.
Whereas Salinas, man, it's gonna make you grow up real quick. You're gonna see some things that you probably shouldn't be seeing, and knowing people that are people are teaching you things that you probably shouldn't be taught yet. So I think those are probably some of the differences.
What year did you graduate?
2010.
2010. Yeah. Okay. Yeah, no, I love Gonzales.
Yeah.
I
like Gonzales too.
I tell my wife I'm gonna run for mayor.
Yeah.
I feel like Gonzales has a lot of potential. I feel like there's a lot of things that to be addressed, but yeah, stay tuned.
Yeah. No, I think, Gonzales is kind of like it's like an old West town almost. Like, it's like you can really probably see a little bush rolling past the street, I tell my friends, like, oh, where'd you grow up? I'm like, man, I went to high school in a place where the streets are numbers, like there's like first street, second, like that's like the original streets,
Yeah, on the other side, yeah.
It's like a one main street, is the legit main street. It goes through the whole freaking town.
That's why sometimes I like to go to the bar right there. My neighbor's a bar because I run into people that have been there for long, and they tell me stories. They're like, you know where McDonald's is at? Yeah, there used to be a big old restaurant right there. It used to be called, I forgot the name of it, dude. And I was like, really? He's like, yeah. And then Taco Bell used to be where the Chinese food used to be. And then Dairy Queen used to be where Subway's at. I don't know why they brought Subway in. Who eats that stuff, I prefer Dairy Queen. So I hear all these stories, and it's just like, wow,
It's changing, yeah.
Yeah, because I remember as a little kid, my dad used to work there in Gonzales. It was a trucking business. And there was this one spot. There was like an old school spot. And I used to love my dad taking me there because it was kind of like I don't know if you ever heard about this, because there was this Roy's Burgers joint in Salinas. Now it's a taqueria place. Yeah. Well, there was something like that in Gonzales. So if you order like a kid's meal, they'll give it to you in a little box of a little car.
The Burger Queen?
No. Okay. This is like right here in downtown. Oh, okay. I forgot the name of it, but they closed it like years ago. But that was my favorite spot because it was kind of like the 60s vibes. Yeah. You know what I mean? Had those tables and chairs and all that stuff. So, and then had the little, the milkshake, kind of like the 60s. I used to love that. My dad used to take me like right away to eat. And then they closed it, and I was like, man, so every time I pass it, I remember that spot. You know what I mean? But, yeah, man. Gonza, I love Gonza. Gonza, grew in my heart.
It's a good place to...
Oh, yeah.
It's like raise your kids. You know what I mean? If you want to get away, like, there's nothing there. You know what I mean? Like, other than, like, the small local stuff, like, if you want that, like, kind of just local vibe. I really think it's kind of like when I was in Hawaii for a little bit, how everyone knows each other, and if you have problems with someone, you might be able to just fight them, and get away with it, and just deal with that problem like that. And I think like Gonzales is definitely that kind of vibe. Like, all right, you have an issue with me, let's just like deal with this, and let's just move on with our lives, and not bring in like the authorities or anything. Like it's like I don't know. I feel like Hawaii was like that too when I was out there.
Well, here it's cool because everywhere I go, they're like, "Hey, how you doing?" They recognize me. You know what I mean? Yeah. So I like that. The fact
some people don't like that, right? They want to hide. They want to get like mixed up in the bunch. So I think that's also what's good about Gonzales is that like it keeps you really honest. Because next thing you know, your reputation can spread like wildfire. If you're no good, everyone's gonna know about you pretty quick. Especially if you just move there, like and you're rude, like they could tell you by your car. Oh, that's Jerry driving. He's like, don't look him in the eye. I don't know.
Well, one thing I will say this, bro, is that we have the best little league stadium ever.
It's true.
We take care of it. I've seen those guys out there every weekend, taking care of the grass, making sure everything looks nice. And I used to coach Little League National, American League here in Salinas, and man, I never seen a stadium so nice and pretty like the one in Gonzales. So. Shout out to the guys out there.
That's where all the money's going.
Hey, and now you know where the money's going, huh? Over there, they use it. They use it here in Gonzales. You mentioned something that really caught my attention, bro. You said that you were adopted at 12 years old, and your tia was the one that adopted you because your mother's struggles. How did that experience shape you to the person that you are today?
Yeah. So talking about Salinas, one day. Me and my cousin are just go to my house, right? And he's like, "Hey, smells like crack in here." This guy's older. He's probably, I don't know if he's done it before or whatever. Known someone that knows like the smell of that. And I knew the smell, but I didn't know what it was. Right? Probably cigarette smoke. Who knows? Weed. I don't know.
Yeah.
And that was the first time that someone had like brought to my attention what that drug was. And he was like, "Your house smells like crack or meth or something." I can't remember. And that was my first like, oh shit, who is it? It's not my little sister, it's my mom. And then like that's I think when I like kind of I don't know what to say, like my world changed, boom, just flipped upside down. Now I know that my mom's like doing drugs, and I didn't at that time I don't think it was that bad, but then over the like years it got worse and worse and worse. And then like things started clicking. Like, oh, my family, hey, you should come like live with us. Like, what? Why?
Right.
Why would I like? Why would I go move with you or whatever? And it just got so bad. And I was selling drugs weed. You know, I like weed now, so you know what I mean. But I was selling weed, and I was little. I was like 12, 13 years old, and that's just what I did. I had a friend where his family they grew weed, and we would go like pick the stems of the weed that they threw in the trash, and we would sell that to like our like neighbors. Like there's like this apartment complex right by in Creekside. It had just opened at that time, and it kind of was like the projects.
Right.
And we would just like we would sell like eights for like $20, and to these guys, and this guy had like a gun on him, and you know what I mean. He was super cool with us, and we were like his little connect. We would like bring him little eights, and so my life like went from Yu-Gi-Oh cards to like weed and drugs and guns really fast.
Right.
And I could, as I kept doing that, you know, we bought a gun, you know? And so already, I think because my mom was doing drugs and I had the freedom and I could tell she was getting worse and she really wasn't taking care of us, and I didn't know where to go or what to do.
Did you knew that she was doing drugs before your cousin addressed that?
I did not.
You had no clue.
No, I
don't. Was it because you were too busy doing your own thing?
I just didn't know what it was. I didn't even know. Maybe I heard it on the news.
Did she show any symptoms when she was around you guys, or you just never pay attention to it?
My mom has always been crazy. She's one of those ladies, like, she'll fight someone, you know? So she's always been kind of like erratic, honestly, growing up. And then definitely over time when I like maybe like 12, 13-ish, like as I started seeing it happen, definitely a huge change in her, you know, to the point of like, you know, my mom got really bad. Like the whole house was like, imagine the worst, like, I don't know, crackhead house you can imagine, like all the like stereotypes, like
Mess.
newspaper on the windows, caulking on every crack in the house, you know, mess, things everywhere, you know, selling things, she was always like scheming, you know, like, oh, we're going to do this. Like, hey, where's the couch? Oh, I sold it so we can get this. Like, what? But then at some point I knew, okay, my mom's on drugs. You know what I mean? Now I'm just going to let her do her thing. I'm going to do my thing. And I'm just, you know.
It didn't bother you, bro? Like, you didn't like, or.
I think I was probably disassociating or something, you know, looking back, like.
Or you felt that because you had that crew around you, you had their support more than you had your mom. That you were like,
And that's why it's so easy to fall into the gang stuff, because like those were my friends, like, and my new family. Yeah. So, and it's not like they asked me to do anything crazy. We weren't like killing anyone or anything like that. Yeah. But it was definitely like they, you know, just like we're a gang. I don't know, like
kind of embrace like, you. They embrace you, but not in a good way.
Yeah. And
but at that time, I mean, you didn't know it was a good way or bad.
And I think it's because we had the connection of the weed as well, looking back. So there was a reason why these little kids, like me and my friends, were hanging out with these kind of older guys, because we were supplying them with weed too. You know what I mean? So I think it was a little bit of, for sure, that like, hey, let's keep them around. Let's like, whatever. They knew my mom was on drugs too and stuff. So it's like.
So was it because you wanted to supply them, or is it because you felt accepted in that group?
I think it's more I felt accepted, for sure. Yeah.
I had this one guest and his son, and he said the same thing. He's like, everybody was doing it. He's like, I wanted to do it too. He's like, you know, and I got to see that growing up too as well. You know, everybody was doing it. So it's like, okay, either you with it or not. You know what I mean? Yeah. And if you didn't join it or not join the gang, right? But hang out like with those people, you know, you felt left out.
They call you snitch. Oh, he's a snitch or something. Yeah. Oh, you don't want to hang out with us? Oh, you're a snitch or something. Like they kind of it's like psychological as well. Like, oh, well, no, I'm not a snitch. Well, then come on, let's go. Yeah. Like, you know, it's like, okay. And I also had a friend, he was a white boy, and he wanted to be like a gangster. You know what I mean?
Scarface?
Yeah. You know, and he was like also a little erratic, but he was my best friend. So like I hung out with him, and then he kind of hung out with my friends and my cousins, and it all just kind of came around. You know what I mean? So that was one of the reasons too. I had like a best friend that just was like down. You know, so
there's always the one guy that is always down, right?
Down for everything, because he wanted to be like that kind of he wanted to live that lifestyle, and he was just a little kid. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
And then like he was like, that's kind of one of the reasons why we got like a gun. You know, it got to the point that me and him were like standing on corners selling weed in the middle.
How did you get a gun, bro?
From one of our friends.
God damn it.
Yeah.
I'm listening, bro. Sorry, let's put this phone on silent.
Oh, you're good. One of my, we had, just people. It can ask, hey, we want a gun. That's how easy and how crazy it was. And that one of our friends said he had access to a gun, guns. We bought it from him, I think for like $500. It was like a 22 rifle or something. And my friend, we would walk like legit 12 years or 13 years old, walk around with a rifle in our pants.
Wow.
Walk around Creekside, go to the mall, like with a gun. You know what I mean? And
Were you guys just ready to
for no reason. We have no enemies.
Right.
We have no enemies. We were just living that lifestyle. And it's so funny because that's just not who I was or he was. But because of who we hung out with, it got to that point. And then what happened was that we always kept it at my house. Everything we had was like at my house because my mom wasn't checking on us. You know what I mean? So we had the gun underneath my bed. All the weed was like, we like cut a hole in my carpet and we would put all our money and weed under the bed.
Right.
And this, we were little kids,
Yeah.
and that's where are you going to keep your money under your bed? You got nothing else. And my friend's dad found it, sawed it in half, called the cops on him, like his own son, and then like moved the next day.
Oh, wow.
So that was kind of the turning point for me where I was then like kind of left alone because his dad like took care of me as well because he knew my mom was on drugs.
Right.
So if I needed like food, he would like, feed me and I would go back home or I would sleep over at their house because, I was his son's best friend. But then the dad just moved, abandoned everything, abandoned ship. He's like, oh, he saw what's happening. My son bought a gun. Like, whoa.
Yeah.
This is definitely not in the playbook. Boom, for Salinas, we got to get out.
Right.
And then they got out and I was kind of left behind. And then my mom just kept getting worse. And then I had to make the phone call to call my tia. Say, hey, come get me.
Right.
Like finally, which is why I moved to Gonzales.
So how was that phone call, dude? Like, you remember?
At the time, I had already tried to leave my mom's house. And, but for whatever reason, the cops, I think my mom was trying to keep me so much that if I were like, she would have, like, I ran away. I would go to my grandma's house. Oh, he ran away. Like, I didn't run away. I'm just trying to get away from you. You know what I mean? But I don't know, that call, I think I was just like, okay, I understand what you guys have been saying, and now it's probably time for you.
So you took that initiative to say, you know what, I don't like where I'm going at.
Yeah.
I think it's best for me to just go with my tia.
Somebody.
Yeah, somebody.
And they were definitely like first in line of like, hey, because they had already been like asking like for years, hey, come. Like, oh, why? Like, I don't know why.
Do you feel that part of the reason was because your friend left?
For sure.
Yeah.
No. Yes, and
because you were thinking about it before, you were trying it before,
Yeah.
you were still hanging out with your friend.
Yeah.
But it's like you still were.
He was like my lifeline, I would say, like or his like dad to like some sort of
Your safe spot.
normal, like get some food, get some water, go watch TV or whatever. Because my house was just like, like the Stranger Things, like just like upside down world, like just cobwebs and like bad stuff.
Have you ever now at this point in your life, have you ever like sat down and thought about like, man, what would have happened to me if I would just not make the phone call?
Like during the pandemic, I got on the cycling like bug or whatever, and I would just like ride.
Everybody did.
Yeah, right. Like do anything to get out of the house. And I was like, what's cool, I think from my childhood, I think my family has like an addictive personality. Undoubtedly, across the board, I could see a lot of like addiction in my family, a lot of depression and stuff like that, which I think a lot of people, have these days. But I think I have a very addictive personality as well. But because of what I saw and the types of like the bad side of addiction, I think for me, I use like the addiction in a good way. And the cycling was one of those things I got addicted, or I get addicted to everything I do, honestly.
Right.
But I just use it as like motivation and fuel and not let the addiction like bring me down. It like I try to put it towards good habits, I guess. And the cycling was definitely one of those. And allowed me to really think as I'm, you're just riding alone.
Right.
I rode from Carmel to Greenfield.
Nice.
In the back roads.
Yeah.
50 miles there, 50 miles back. And believe me, I thought about it a lot.
Yeah.
And so when I am thinking about like, man, where could I have been? I look at the people that I know where they're at now, in prison, dead, never got out of that like mentality, the childish mentality of, I think, gang.
Engaging video content can drive your business forward. We specialize in creating professional corporate videos and commercials tailored to your brand. Collaborative ideas help display your vision. Let's elevate your business today. LC1 Productions, crafting stories that matter.
When you move to Gonzales, did those friends still reach out to you, or they kind of just went MIA?
The thing was, they didn't go away because I still reached out to them too, and they were my family. So like when I would go back to Salinas, it was just like kind of going right back to like the old, hey, what's up? Like the old crib, you know what I mean? So yeah, I still like them as people.
Right.
But I just knew for me, like, and I was still selling weed in Gonzales. So I didn't really change much. I don't think I changed. I think, or I was trying to change, you know what I mean? I was troubled during my high school time in Gonzales. I was probably like one of the worst kids there just because I'm living with my tia. She has her own kids, her own life, her own problems. And I said like Gonzales was kind of like a sandbox. It was like a free play. You know what I mean? When she left, I was almost in the same boat as that I was in Salinas. But the kids were way more innocent. And I had already seen I think so much in Salinas. So I just sold weed. I ditched school. I was like, I wasn't a good kid. I did graffiti. I raced cars. You know what I mean? I did a lot. I by no means was I I turned from like some demon to angel from moving Salinas to Gonzales. No, I was just, still trying to figure out what's next for me.
So you had a rough childhood growing up.
Yeah, I would say so. I had a lot of love though too. I think that's what was also very important, that I knew that I had a lot of love for my tias on my dad's side and my mom's side. My tia's like, oh my gosh, whether anything I needed, I could always reach out to my tias, because I think my tias on my dad's side, because my dad just has never been around. He's in Salinas, but he's just like, I don't know.
So you're not close with your dad right now?
Not at all. You know what I mean?
What about your mom? Is she still around? Or?
She's around, yeah. She's actually, I think, doing much better. She lives in Reno with my sisters. My sisters have kept a good relationship with her. And that was one of the hardest things from leaving the house, because I still had two little sisters living with her.
Oh, okay.
So I was able to leave, but then my sisters still got stuck there for years.
And how are your sisters doing right now?
Doing really good. Yeah. Which is just crazy. We laugh about it now because we're like, damn, our mom's crazy, whatever. Their dad too was an alcoholic at the time, which is who I grew up with, is their dad. And somehow, some way, even my little sister is doing so great right now.
What do they do?
She does hair. Okay. So my grandma, I don't know if she did it right away when she came here from Mexico. I think she cleaned houses and stuff. And then after that, got into hair and beauty. And then growing up, she just did that. And I think that's kind of what influenced my sister to continue
Both
that.
of them?
No, my other sister, she's still really young. She's still in high school.
Oh, okay.
Yeah, but my other sister, she's 23, 22. But she does hair up there. Her Instagram's hair by Maya. She does really cool hair.
That's amazing, because you hear stories from family kids growing up with not a good parents, around because of drugs and everything, and they tend to be worse. So that's amazing that you guys overcame that adversity, and you guys decided to take a different route.
Yeah,
and it's rarely when you see that and you hear those stories, right? That's amazing, dude. Now, during high school or elementary, going to high school, did you ever have any goals, aspirations, or anything that, even though you were out there hustling, doing your thing, bro, walking with the rifle at the mall, you know what I mean? I could just picture the rifle at the mall.
It's crazy.
Did you ever have any, in back of your head, did you ever thought, any goal or dreams that you want to do? Man, I want to be, I don't know, something,
my dream growing up always, even in that time, was to be an animator. I love animation. And now, like, I watch anime now, Pokemon. I think that's also, and that was just my dream. I wanted to work for Pixar. I love like Disney.
Yeah.
I love just thinking of like ideas or stories and then like how they bring them to life,
Right.
like and just create like worlds. I don't know. Anime kind of does
Dragon
that.
Ball Z.
Yeah, and I think that's also like, and I swear to you, like, and I think that's where a lot of my ambition comes from, and because I didn't have like growing up, it was all females. My mom, her sisters, my grandma, and then on my dad's side, like my grandma, all the tias, they kind of took care of all of us, and the guys, they were just so like angry and quiet, and like, and as a kid, like I don't want to mess with my tio, you know, it's hang out with my tia, you know, they're much more fun.
Right.
So I had a lot of like female like
Influence.
and not much male. It took a long time. Not I think not until like my early 20s when I started cooking is when I first got like an ounce of like some masculinity. Like, hey, shut up. Like, oh shit, what the hell? This guy's telling me shut up. Dang.
Because you're a baby by your tias,
always. You know what I mean? Oh, you're so cute. Oh, you're gonna grow up to be so handsome. You know, whatever. And like, it's a different world in the kitchen. You know, for sure. But I think like anime, the male figures in anime, like Goku, you know, freaking Ash from Pokemon, you know, all of it. Like, I think that's where I got like my male like
Role
models. And I think between those and now looking like, why am I so like when I want to do something, I want to do it the best I can. You know what I mean? Because the people that I grew up and like looked up to are not real. You know, they're like they go above and beyond reality. And that's really what I try to do with now, you know, as much as I can. All my friends, you know, oh, you're crazy. And it's like, I know, you know what I mean? And because I'm trying to go for things that like are beyond my reality right now.
Let's dive in into your journey on cooking. What was the moment that made you realize, you know what, I want to do cooking?
So one of the things that I always loved other than animation was cooking. I, for whatever reason, baking cookies when I was young or just making spaghetti, you know, whatever. I'd always been into cooking, and I think it's a creative thing. I'm a very creative person. And then for whatever reason, I found Rachel Ray, whether on the like Cooking Network or the Food Network.
How old were you when you found it?
I was probably like 11, 12. So, you know.
So it was young.
Yeah. Okay. And I just remember like my friends like, all right, I got to run home to go watch like Yu-Gi-Oh or whatever comes on like at 3:30. And I knew like Rachel Ray came on like at 3. So if we got out of school like at 3 o'clock, I'm already behind on the episode. So I would like run back and watch Rachel Ray. And that's just how, like, that's one of my oldest like cooking memories. And I thought that was real cooking.
Did you ever, watching Rachel Ray doing those cookies, did you ever make some weed in it?
No, I didn't do that so much later. Yeah.
You know what? Let me add some little bit of weed in this cookie right here.
I wish. Now I got, dude, edibles. They put me out. I don't even do edibles anymore.
So Rachel Ray caught your attention at early age, right? You mean you're still growing, you're still going through your phase, you're still living la vida loca, doing your thing, right? And at what point it became your passion?
So it went from Rachel Ray, and then when I got into like more like into my high schools, I found Anthony Bourdain, and he's a legend. You know, legend. As a, you know, maybe not one of the best cooks in the world, but he has, you know, the bridge between reality of what we think cooking is and what it really is. Yeah. And I just loved watching him. I would just sit there for hours watching him go to different places, try the food, and I would just sit there like salivating, like, oh man, one day.
Can I tell you something real quick? What? I could picture you doing that. Dude.
Thank you.
I could picture you traveling around.
That'd be amazing.
Traveling around, dude, and just, you know what I mean? And then coming back home and then doing your own little dishes, putting them together.
I think it's he, you know, he really inspired me, honestly.
He inspired a lot of people, dude. He inspired a lot of people. It sucks that, you know, he was fighting his own emotions and battles, and that just goes to say that you know, we all have. I always talk about this. I'm very vocal about it. I'm like, hey, we all have our own battles. We all have our own demons, you know. Yep. So yeah, man.
It sucks, and it's drugs. You know, sometimes you don't know where to go, so you go to drugs. And I think my mom, she found that same thing. I don't know exactly, you know, everything that if she shared it with us and all that, but like, there's a reason. You know what I mean? She was running from something. It caught her. You know,
you ever had the opportunity to have that talk with her?
A little bit with my tias and stuff, but we don't talk at all. You know what I mean? Like, I try not to talk to her, but it's just. Maybe one day we'll get that. We've talked before. Like we have like a.
But you guys haven't had that actual talk.
No. But yeah, so
All right, we're going back
yeah,
to Anthony.
yeah. But Anthony Ray, yeah, you know, and
So
I just want to travel.
That's when became your passion when you started watching him.
Yeah, and I just knew I wanted to cook. I didn't know what I always told myself this, and I don't know where I heard it from, but you know, I don't know if it was my people I grew up with. They were like, don't do what you love as your job because then you're gonna hate it, right? Like, because everyone hates their job.
Yeah.
Work sucks. That's always what I heard when I was younger, and for some reason, I had this in my mind. I was like, I don't want to. I love cooking. I never want to cook because I don't want to hate cooking.
Right.
And now I do hate cooking but I love cooking as well. So growing up, I think that's what you have to understand is like sometimes what you do for your work and life is going to be a love-hate, you know, it's discipline. You know what I mean? You got to be disciplined. It's going to be, and if it's worthwhile, it'll probably be a little hard. You know what I mean? And cooking is pretty fucking hard.
So at what point you said like, all right, this is my passion. I got to go to school.
Yeah. So I didn't go to school for cooking. Okay. I tried a bunch of stuff in my young 20s. You know, just jobs. You know, I worked at a veterinary office. I was a bail bonds agent for a quick second at like the Diaz brothers, you know. I just did a bunch of stuff. I worked at Whole Foods. I did like, man, I was someone's assistant for a second. You know what I mean? I just did a bunch of stuff. I was trying a bunch of things out. And I got to the point where I was like stuck. I was like, oh man, I'm not gonna go to college. I tried to go to college to, you know, Hartnell. Wasn't working for me, you know. I tried all these other jobs. Wasn't working for me. And I had a girlfriend that worked at a Corral de Tierra, country club. And she was like, hey, just come in, check it out, you know? And I was like, they'll never hire me. I have no experience. In my mind, they were fucking ultimate chefs there. You know, what I saw in Anthony Bourdain, the real deal. And they're really good, awesome chefs, but it's like a country club. You know, they do big batch stuff. It's not so fine dining or anything like that, but it's still really good. And I'm really happy I got a job there because the chef there is amazing. Even though it's a country club, he does really good work. William Bennett is a chef. And he was my first chef and really taught me a lot and also told me stories about France and this thing called staging. Staging is like in the kitchen world, it's an internship. And it's basically you go work for free. They beat your ass and you learn and you come out better. That's the goal. You know what I mean? But back in the day, it was more like it's a French word, you know, stage. So it was, you know, people would go and do that for like their vocation, you know, vocational school. And it's kind of like something that you had to go through. And so I had never heard about that. And at the time I had no idea what the different levels of cooking were. And I wasn't at the bottom, but I was definitely nowhere near the top level of cooking. And because I want to go to the very top of everything I do, even at a young age, I then found out about like, okay, there's kitchens in Carmel. There's nice kitchens. So I worked at Casanova and a bunch of the local places. I was a bread baker at La Bicyclette. I rolled like brioche balls for the Aubergine group for the Gourmet Fest. And that was kind of my first entry into a little bit of the Carmel fine dining. And they took it seriously there. I met a chef called, or his name is Justin Cogley. He's a chef of Aubergine in Carmel. They just got like, I believe 2 stars. And that was my first real like actual kitchen job, I would say, like where they took the ingredients and everything very, very seriously. And that's when I found out about the Michelin Guide. I had never heard about the Michelin Guide before. I didn't know exactly what it was. So I looked up Michelin restaurants in California, and I emailed every single one of them trying to get a stage. And I got, luckily, a stage at this restaurant called Benu. It's a 3 Michelin star restaurant now. And at the time, it was 2 stars. And when I was there, I got lucky that they had got awarded their 3rd star while I was there. By no means.
So what does that mean? Stars were like, you're the shits, or the restaurant is
you're
the
the
shit?
Fucking shit. So
how many stars is like, you're like the top notch?
3.
Oh, really?
Yeah. So there's only 3 stars. It's
I thought it was kind of like the 5-star review.
That's like that's like hotels. So 1 star, I believe, means you have if you're in the area, like the way the guide works. Like let's just say you so happen to be in San Francisco, the 1 star just says like you should go here. Like really good food, high quality stuff, really good chef, all their little criteria. You get like a 1 star just for being that on whatever the criteria and how they judge it. And then a 2 star is like something that you should like go out of your way for. Let's say you live in San Francisco and it's like in Napa. All right, the Michelin Guide is like the Michelin tire company. That's how they kind of started to like kind of promote restaurants and get people to drive places and use their tires.
I
That's
didn't
kind
know
of
that, dude. That's pretty crazy.
And so
Good to know.
yeah. And then so that's like you kind of go out of your way. And then the 3 Michelin star restaurant is something that you would like travel the world for. If you live in Paris or France, you should go to eat in San Francisco. If you live in San Francisco, go to Japan. And so it's like top tier,
stuff,
you know, I would say very pretentious, no doubt, but people there are serious. So if you're trying to do something serious and trying to take your cooking to the height or the highest level, you're gonna go for Michelin star restaurants. And that's not to say that restaurants without Michelin stars don't taste good or they're not like performing at a high level. But I think across the board, if you're playing in the NBA, you're playing with the best. You know what I mean? So you're in the top league, NFL kind of thing.
So you get there, they get their 3rd star, and this is where
It's called in San Francisco.
in San Francisco.
Yeah.
So you make the move to San Francisco.
Yeah.
You're pretty much working for free, right?
Yes. So what's cool about when I talk back about my tias and stuff supporting me is the only reason I was able to do that internship, no money. You know, my tia lived in like Concord, which is at the very top of in San Francisco. Like it's the last stop of the BART.
Right.
So she lives way up there. It's like a 2-hour BART ride from Concord down to SF, and she housed me. I told her, hey tia, I know you live up there. Like boom, boom, boom. Like, can you help me? Of course. Boom, you can live in my son's room. Easy. So without her, I would never even been able to take this step. So across the board, like my tias have always kind of been there when I needed that like helping hand.
Yeah.
They were always there for me. But yeah, so I would take a BART 2 hours every morning, like at 6 in the morning, something to be there by like 7 or 8, and go work for free. And I would,
8 hours? How many hours?
I think like 8-10 hours, something. Yeah, maybe more if I wanted. You know, at that time, there was staging was still available. Like now, I think you'll get sued for sure. You know, I think that time it was still pretty gray line, or like, you know what I mean. You can get away with it. Maybe it just depends on the person, you know. But this place, I never knew what cooking was. I didn't know what cooking was. I thought I knew. Saute some stuff, put it in a plate, serve it, ding, whatever. These people took it to a whole new level.
Is it kind of like that? What is it? That cooking show, Rams?
It's like, have you seen The Bear?
No.
The show? Okay, you should watch that show because I tell people like The Bear, it's exaggerated. It's a show. It's only like 10% exaggerated. It's as close as you can get to watching something that like people that cook lived. But they just take it seriously. Everything. It does it. You're professional. You come in on time. You're clean. You have your own tools. We hold
Also, you got to bring your own
everything.
Damn.
Everything. All your own knives. Everything you have.
But by that time, you already know how to cut the onion. You know how to cut everything.
Yeah, I had already like
You're like this.
I had already developed my basic skills, and so right now this is like a boot camp, like of people just roasting you. And one of my, I loved it actually.
Yeah.
You know, I loved that environment. I think I needed that. I didn't have that before cooking. Someone to keep me responsible, make me show up on time, make me like fight for my place.
Right.
If I wasn't fast enough, like they might not let you come back the next day. When people got kicked out left and right there.
So were you the only one working for free, or those other guys?
It was a whole crew. So there is like 30 people in the kitchen, or something insane like that. You know, maybe 60 person. I don't know, maybe not 60. I don't know what they're running with now, but at that time it was like I would say like probably like 30 people in the kitchen. And it was just a whole machine. They had stages from all over the world, people that wanted to cook, and they wanted to cook for the chef, Corey Lee. At the time, prior to Benu, he was a chef at the French Laundry, the chef de cuisine for 7 years. Huge restaurant, if anyone knows French Laundry, 3 Michelin stars. Thomas Keller. It's just it's the shits. It's the best restaurant still in the world. You know what I mean? Very classic French cuisine. But it's like ran like a military style, like brigade, kind of like you would see like Anthony Bourdain and stuff like that. So when I went there, my world was just like open. Like I didn't realize there was this type of cooking. And then from there, I just kept going, kept staging.
How long you were there for?
I was only there for 2 months. So it's a 2-month minimum internship, stage. So I worked there for 2 months, and then I came back to Carmel, kept working at Aubergine. And then I ended up taking another stage in Belgium, at a place called In de Wolf. It's closed now, but it was a one
You
star.
traveled to Belgium?
Yeah, and I worked there for about 2-3 months. in the middle of nowhere.
So how was it over there? It's no income. How did you do it? Did you save money or?
I would just save money. So I would like work for like 6 months to a year and save. I had like always like 3 jobs. I was just like hustling. I would work like 3 jobs in Carmel. I would work like a breakfast, then go to like the night shift and to do like a baking. And I was just like cycling, doing that. Sometimes 2 jobs, sometimes 3 jobs.
I have to ask this question, but did you ever feel like, man, should I sell like an ounce or 2?
No.
So I could make some extra cash.
After I stopped selling weed and started cooking, I just smoked it. At that time, I stopped doing anything. I think I got scared, honestly, because I didn't want to mess up my cooking. I got so wrapped up in cooking.
You didn't want to mess it up.
Yeah, no.
Okay, so rewind. So you went to San Francisco for 2 months. You came back to Carmel. What you learned from there, did you apply it in Carmel?
Oh, for sure.
Where they were blown away? You're like, what?
I don't think they were blown away. I think the chef there has already worked at the highest level. He worked for
It was like whatever.
yeah, or it's not like they were like we're at Ever. It's like all right, cool. Like you can like work the night shift. At the time, I was working like breakfast, and so now I could work the night. And the thing what it saved me is just money. Even though I was like not working for free, I would implore anyone, do not go to culinary school. Just work in the kitchens. Yeah. That's where you're going to learn the most.
Nice.
If you go to, just because, and I'm not saying don't go to school, because looking back now, it's good to educate yourself. But for cooking, it's a craft. It's not something.
You mentioned that the chef told you that that's the best way to do it, right?
Yeah. Get out there and go learn. You know what I mean? Don't, right now I would say don't waste $70,000, $60,000 for someone to teach you how to make an omelet. You don't need that. You know what I mean? And I think it's a scam, honestly, because you can spend a couple months in the kitchen for free, and with a good chef and good people around you,
for free,
they'll teach you. You know what I mean? And if you're a good person, if you help, if you're there to help and put your best foot forward.
But you gotta apply to get there, right?
Yeah.
To get that opportunity to go in there for free.
Yeah, and you can't be like, can't be crazy. You can't just be like, I have no experience, and this is what I did. But I had a little bit of experience. Yeah. Apply to Michelin star restaurants, and they'll take you. You know what I mean? But sometimes you're more of a like hazard than you are like a helper if you don't know what you're doing.
Right. So you're getting your experience on. You're moving forward. You go to Belgium. You're there for 3 months. You said, right? Yeah. Middle of nowhere, and then from there you go. You also mentioned that you traveled to Japan and Thailand.
Yeah. So that came much later.
Okay.
But after Belgium, I got a job at this place called Saison. It was a 3 Michelin star restaurant in San Francisco. The menu, it's like $1,000 a person. I had already,
holy shit,
yeah, I had already tried to get a job there once, and I wasn't ready. And I went back again, and I don't think I was still ready for that level, but somehow, some way, I got the job.
Question for you, bro. So it was $1,000 to get in, or $1,000 per person?
It's $1,000 per person, probably by the end of the meal. Yeah.
So like you say, you and me go, it's gonna be $1,000 each,
probably. And that's the reason.
What are they serving? It's $1,000.
I know it sounds crazy.
I'm just curious. I know. I'm pretty sure everybody else like.
One, you go because something has happened in your life that you can afford this.
Oh, okay.
You know what I mean? So that's one reason. Let's say you like made a big deal, you sold your business, something, grand has occurred for you to be like, I'm going to ball out tonight and I'm going to go eat at one of the best restaurants in the fucking world. Right. At the time I was working there, it was like 37th best restaurant in the world. And that maybe to some people doesn't sound like much, but on the world's 50 best to be 37, you're playing like, I don't know. I don't watch many sports, but I know people out there, like, let's say you're the 37th person picked in the draft. Like, that's pretty big for the NBA. You know what I mean? Versus the last,
So let me ask you this. What's the difference between their steak and like somebody else's restaurant steak?
So every 3 Michelin restaurant is different. I would, for sure. Not every place is going to serve you the same exact, like, type of meats or anything. But for Saison, what was so special about it is that everything there was like and this was early on, now it's very trendy to have a wood fire restaurant, but Saison at the time was like the leader in like wood fire cuisine. Okay. The chef, Joshua Skeens, he kind of pioneered that style in, I would say in California. There's plenty of wood fire restaurants, but he did something where it was just really special. And so he would use a lot of wild game. You might be able to go in there and get like deer or like antelope or like water buffalo. You know, we've served crazy things. Gordon Ramsay actually came in. You know, we've served like bear paw to
Bear paw?
Yeah. Bear jerky. Talking about jerky earlier. We had like bear jerky. So the types of meats you're gonna eat, and they're not gonna be it's not gonna be like by no means like farm raised. It's gonna be like all wild, cooked over the fire, aged properly. There's a lot of levels to the cooking. It's not just a steak like that's just grilled, because you can go anywhere for that. So like saison is always about the experience and the level of attention to detail that we would put into the food. Like even corn, we would like double shuck corn, right? So you take the corn off the cob, we cook it, and then you would like the little skin around the corn, we take that off. What? Yeah. And so the reason his thought process was that like you don't want anything to interrupt your meal. Nothing in your teeth.
Right.
Like,
okay.
Nothing like everything that you're eating is like as easy and as delicious as possible, so you can keep enjoying the conversation and the experience that you're having with.
So
your
it goes
people.
to very, very detailed. Very detailed.
Very detailed. They know everything about you before you come. They know if it's your birthday. They know if you've been there before. They know if you've eaten other places. You know what I mean? They know what level of eater you are. There's different levels of eater. People are, super crazy and like will drop a napkin on the ground and wait and like see how long it's gonna take for someone to pick that up.
Really?
Some people are like that. You know, they're playing. They go to restaurants because they feel the need to like test. Like, let's see how good they really are. And they'll do crazy stuff. You know what I mean? Like people will leave things in the bathroom, leave something in the bathroom and come back and check. And that's kind of what the Michelin Guide kind of is known for. Like they do weird things like that to see how much attention you're paying, or how much attention you're paying to the details in people's dining experience.
Is that restaurant still around?
Still around? Yeah.
If once we make it big in YouTube, I'm going to take the guys to eat steaks. I know Juan loves steaks.
And I do like eating like that. I've eaten at really cool restaurants like that are like in the Michelin Guide and stuff. But man, I still like eating just regular food though. That's where the best food is, and that's why kind of like I started the Rice Gai. You know what I mean? Is not because I want to like every day eat the super fine dining meal. I like super humble food, keep it casual, and get something like kind of cheap. I can't pay $1,000.
It's kind of like in Chular, there's this little bakery, and I love their food, dude. I love their food, and I just started this diet there, so I couldn't eat a burrito. And they have this little what is it, a bolillo? Yeah. They call it I forgot what they call it, but it had like a egg with papa and jalapenos. Okay. And I'm just like, I want one. And I got Luis a burrito, carne asada burrito. And I was just like, but it's just like so good, dude. Homemade cooked.
And what's like $13 or something, maybe less. I don't know.
No, it was like $15. I got a coffee. I got a coffee, but
that's what I'm saying.
Yeah, but it's just like
good food doesn't have to cost $1,000. You know what I mean? So you're not really paying for the food. You are paying for like some good stuff when you go to these restaurants, but you're paying for the experience, and like it's like an art form. I think if you go to a concert, I know there's tickets for $1,000 when you go to UFC, right?
Dude, they used to be sitting in front back in 2009. I remember we got some tickets. We were sitting in front of the cage. There were $600, almost $700, depending what row you wanted to sit. That was back then. Now it's more than $1,000, dude.
For sure.
It's like, what the heck?
So that's what I'm saying. Yeah. So it's really, I have all my own opinions about dining and customers and how the perception of why people want to pay and they don't want to pay and the psychology behind that. But it's, or paying before, people go to restaurants, no one wants to pay before. Why would I pay before? What the heck? But you pay before to go to UFC. You pay before you go watch a movie. You pay before for so many things. You on Amazon, you pay before, you get it. There's all these things. But for some reason, the experience of dining and eating out, people don't have much respect, I think, for what cooks do and what restaurants really do, and how much of their life they put into cooking. And I think, one day, hopefully I can own my own restaurant, and I could really be creative and cook some really cool creative food. But that's one thing that when people kind of scoff, damn, $1,000.
At Juan Avila Photography, we specialize in capturing decisive headshots and portraits that tell your unique story. Serving Salinas, Monterey County, and beyond, Our high-quality images reflect your professionalism and authenticity. Whether for corporate teams, executives, or personal branding, let us elevate your image with headshots tailored to your needs. Book your session today.
That's my first reaction. Like, damn,
You paid
bro.
$1,000, you know, for to watch someone get knocked out, and you didn't even put anything in your body. You know what I mean? Kind of something like that. Like food, it can be, it gives you like life. You know what I mean?
It makes a big difference now. You broke it down. Like, hey, it's you know, it's fresh.
Yeah.
It's caught. You know, it's like, you know,
It's a difference.
Yeah, it's a
Yes.
big difference. Yeah, I remember I took my wife to go eat dinner at this one, the Breakout. Was it the Break?
Right there in Seaside?
No, in Santa Cruz.
Oh.
It's like you take a little elevator down.
Oh, yeah. I know what you're talking about. Yeah.
You know, I was somebody told me to go there, and I was like, I went there. I forgot what it.
Yeah. I know what you're talking about, though.
But it was a nice experience. We ate so good. I think I spent like $300.
Yeah.
Bro.
It's a lot.
You know, I thought it was a lot, but I ate so good. The service was so amazing, top notch. And I remember one time we went to Tahoe, and then there was this restaurant, was it Hell's Kitchen restaurant?
Yeah. Okay.
And dude, the waiting time was like an hour and so much. I was like, why so long? And I got to see the chefs and everything. And I wanted the experience too,
Yes.
but it was an hour and a half. I was already hungry, dude.
Yeah, yeah.
So you know what I mean. But now that you mentioned that, dude, now I definitely want to go experience that.
But that's what I'm kind of saying, though. Like, okay, you buy a ticket to go to watch a movie, you got to show up on time, right?
Yeah.
And you went almost more than 50% of the way to get your ticket to go watch the movie. People won't go more than like maybe 20%. Like if anyone wanted to eat somewhere really nice, like you have to put a little bit of work into it and make a reservation.
Yeah.
So like that helps the kitchen out, and it shows like, hey, I am like kind of virtually like shaking your hand. I'm gonna come see you. Kind of like you're going to a barber. You know, if you show up to your barber and be like, hey, cut my hair, and they're like, oh, it's gonna be an hour and a half wait. You're like, this guy sucks. No, he doesn't. You should have just made your reservation. And some people have that like kind of mentality about restaurants. Oh, they're too busy. I can't ever get in there. They're too busy or whatever. It's like, well, you know, you should try to meet halfway. You know what I mean? And I think in the future, especially right now with restaurants, labor's up, food cost is up, everything's up. I think, and definitely during the pandemic, there was a little bit of respect given to restaurants. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
You know, people are like, oh, thank you for feeding us. You know, we can't go anywhere. Boom. And then it just dipped again. Boom. Right back down, you know, and now people aren't supporting the local restaurants. Instead, they're talking about getting like Dutch Bros over here and are my Starbucks. And there's a lot of local cool.
I mean, we do have like 15 Starbucks. Bro.
Yeah.
Like, I don't know. I've never seen.
That's what I'm saying. So all these people, everyone wants to talk about, you know, supporting, you know, indigenous people, black people, all these other things. Hey, let's just focus on like supporting local across the board and stop taking pictures of your Starbucks cup and go like to Bruges or like other like the cherry bean or whatever it is. Like
Viva Espresso or Viva Azteca or whatever.
And I'm not just saying it, if you're going to these places, you're bad or anything like that. But hey, if you like Salinas, if you love the 831, there's so many places that you could switch and swap for other types of stuff. You know what I mean?
So you went to Japan. How was your experience in Japan, dude? Did you learn how to do sushi?
No sushi.
I love sushi, bro.
Yeah. Man, Japan. So I've always dreamed about going to Japan. Watching anime growing up, it just has always been, I've told myself, if I could just live in Japan for 3 months of my life, I'll die. I'm ready. Take me. You know what I mean? And I I lived there for about 6 months, and I don't want to die. I want to go back and experience more because Japan is just such a wide, you know, it's a huge country, it has so much to offer. I think what I learned there is how to be happy with less. You know what I mean? Even though I've had little, I have like these ambitions of more. I want to get more, and I think it's a very American mindset where you like exponential growth. Anything you do, you want to keep growing, and then hopefully sell it, and then business, you know, keep growing. And it's like capitalism, you know what I mean? In Japan, everywhere you look, people are just happy with what they have. At a small little place, small little restaurant, little hole in the wall, old man, his old little wife, and they've been doing the same thing for 20, 30 years. Never with the idea they want another location.
Right.
They're happy there. They've been happy there. They live upstairs. They don't want anything more. When they die, they die. Yeah. And I think that is such a calm, peaceful way of living versus like me right now, like I'm grinding, I'm moving, you're moving, you know, you're busy. And not to say that's not a bad lifestyle, but the way that they live, and I think that's the way that the government and the way their culture is, you need to practice like just being happy with what you have and not trying to get too much. You know, you try to hold too much sand in your, try to hold too much sand, you know, someone's gonna slip through the cracks. And I think coming back really kind of has, for a while I was like almost too, like I'm gonna like minimize my whole life. I sold everything before I left.
Right.
So when I came back, I was like, I don't need anything. I'm just gonna get my bare minimum, just like I lived in Japan with a bare minimum. And now, you know, I'm back to like getting my coffee in the morning and doing this and that. But
what you learn over there,
like cooking wise, I had a friend. He worked in Oakland, got 2 stars at this restaurant called Komi, along with other chefs and everything. But he worked there during that time, and he got a job opportunity to be a chef at a restaurant over there. And so it was a 10-seat little like kaiseki restaurant, tiny little building. It was me, him, and another guy named Kyle. And we ran this little small restaurant. It was a Peruvian, half Japanese, because that's the culture of my chef, or my friend Keone. And we just worked there. And you know what I learned? I've been cooking for a long time, so I don't think I learned too much in the cooking aspect. But I think I just just living a Japanese lifestyle and watching how the Japanese live and work. They work hard, they play hard, and then they do it again without complaining. Right. You know what I mean? It's a very little bit of complaining and a lot of concern, I think, for others. There, they do a lot of things to not bother anybody. They don't want to bother you.
Yeah.
In America, man, we bother the fuck out of each other. Like, and
It's
we
a
go
lot
out
of
of
hate, bro.
yeah, and we go out of our way to like bother people here. And there, they're just so you know, not everybody, you know. I don't want to blanket the whole country or anything like that, but like while I was there, I just met a lot of really good people, a lot of really good, kind people. And here, you feel sometimes everyone's like trying to scrape, trying to get to the top in a any way they can, any way, shape, or form. And there, it was a lot more gentle.
One thing I see here a lot is that if somebody starts something, somebody will see it and then they'll do it. They'll try to see if they can do it better.
Yes.
I see that a lot, dude. And it's just like, for me, it's kind of like, dude, you figure it out. You know what I mean? This is what I want to do. Why you got to try to do the same thing I'm doing? You know what I mean?
Yeah.
But I see that.
Oh, sorry.
And I see that a lot. And it used to bug me a lot, dude. But then I'm like, it is what it is. You know what I mean? But it's just, I don't, it's like, I don't know. People can't come up with their own ideas now.
Hey, novel ideas are hard to come by. Yeah. And even if, you know, in cooking, you know, some people will be like, oh, this chef made that, you can't cook that, or, you know, someone else made that dish. And, you know, that's definitely true. But, you know, you can still pay like homage, you know, like, or you can like still like give people their flowers, you know, hey, like I'm like, for me, you know, I'm cooking like chicken and rice right now. I'm Mexican. That's not like, I didn't grow up with this dish, but for me, like when I saw Anthony Bourdain go to Singapore and get this dish, I knew one day I want to eat this. And then I did that. I worked at a chicken and rice restaurant. They sent me to Thailand and with like a translator and I had like a little photographer. People thought I was famous, you know. Right. I wasn't, you know, and I lived like for like 2 weeks, like a real like Anthony Bourdain like life, going through Thailand, eating this chicken and rice, eating at different Thai restaurants, sitting in these tiny little chairs, cars brushing by, drinking the local beer. And I'm like, I made it. You know what I mean? Like the little kid like would be proud, you know, like, oh, you're actually like traveling, eating, you know, I'm not, I don't even want to be famous or anything like that, but I just want to experience like all these things that the world has to offer. And at that time, like when I was in that moment, I was like, we made it, baby. We did it. Yeah. Like we're in Thailand. I don't understand any, like whenever I travel, that's one of the, like you can close your eyes and just like hear people talk and you don't understand anything. Yeah. It's like, it's almost just as good as silence. Cause you know, you don't know what's going on. You know, I think it's a really cool thing that you don't get here.
Right. How did the Rice Gai brand came about and what is your long-term vision for it?
So for me, I love creating. And the Rice Gai was, you know, I've done so many pop-ups here. I've always wanted to do my own thing. I've always wanted to be an entrepreneur. For as long as I can remember, I've been selling things, whether it's weed or freaking reselling, going to garage sales, selling my my old electronics, whatever. When I was younger, little garage sales. I've always loved selling stuff. When I was going to school in Gonzales, when we used to have like rallies or like car shows, I would make my own shirts and sell them. Like I got the school like told me I had to stop. Like, hey, you can't make money off of Gonzales, Right. And then like some teachers would wear my shirts and be like, hey, what are you guys talking about? We're trying to like teach these kids how to like survive in this world and be entrepreneurs, aren't we? And they were like shutting me down. Yeah. So it was really cool at that time to see some of the teachers supporting me and backing me up. But so for cooking, I developed a skill. You know what I mean? I put my heart into it, my life, everything. And right now, in my 30s, I'm trying to use those skills that I gained in my 20s and like leverage those to make money, right? So whether I'm trying to get a job, a higher paying job, using those skills, or creating my own business using the skills that I have. Right. So for years, I've tried to do different pop-ups. I've done one of my first ones here was what do we call it? Sundays with Greg. I did it at Captain Stoker for like 6 months. So every other Sunday or every Sunday, I would just do like breakfast items, like brunch items. Okay. And we did that for a while. We ended up stopping it. I kept cooking, and then I tried another thing during the pandemic called tacos goyitos. Everyone would always call me Goyo when I was little. So we did like a wood fire taco pop-up out of my backyard.
All the Gregs, they get called Goyos.
Huh?
I have a buddy of mine.
Yeah, they call it, I don't know. That's always been like my tios and people like, oh, Goyo, whatever. Yeah. And so that was just my nickname. So we did like a tacos goyitos, and it was all wood fire stuff, really fun. But I got shut down by my next door neighbors because it was kind of, we were just selling to my friends and everything, and definitely should not have been doing it. And it was a lot of smoke and whatever. But it was just fun, we were just having some fun. But I love creating like small little businesses. And I think for me, one of the things I haven't been able to scale. I'm trying to figure out how to scale. Coming from where I come from, I don't have any money. I don't have like families that are gonna support me with a big lump sum of cash. For me, I'm definitely gonna have to go like the loan route, investor route, something like that. So I've always just been trying to create little businesses, and this last one that I've been running is the Rice Gai. So the reason I'm doing it is just because I think like there's nothing like it around. I wanted to create like something for Monterey County, 831, Salinas, a nice healthy meal that's not gonna like break the bank. And everyone's familiar with chicken and rice, arroz con pollo, like it goes on in so many different ethnicities. It's humble food. So like I think the expectation is like low, but the flavor is very high. So I'm trying to leverage all the skills that I've developed, everywhere I've been to, my palate, understanding like what the consumer wants, price wise, flavor wise, even how big the plate is and everything. I'm really trying to use everything I have into this concept, so I can try to figure out how to scale it and really create something that Salinas, Seaside, Marina, 831, all over that can support and stand behind. Like, hey, this guy, he grew up here. He, he's done everything. He's like, I'm trying to check all the boxes. I'm trying to be a good person. I'm trying to help people. I'm from here. The food's good, it's fun.
I gotta try it, bro.
Yeah.
I gotta try it.
We work hard on our social media, creating cool content. Like I'm trying to do everything I can be as authentic and real without,
just make the best of what you have.
And just do it. And that's really why like the Rice Guy like kind of came.
Do you have any investors right now?
Nothing.
So pretty much it's just.
I am losing money.
Whatever you're bringing in, you're trying to put it back in. Yeah.
And luckily I have a little crew of people that help me. You know what I mean? It's the one thing, alone I can go fast, but together we can go far. You know what I mean? And I really am like pushing that with all my heart because like there's so many cool people in Salinas, and all of us kind of got to get together. And whether you're a business owner or you're like a social media influencer, you know what I mean? Anything like that. If you're just someone that needs help too, like, hey, can you sponsor me or anything like that? Like, I don't have any money. Cool. Let me throw you on like we'll clip your business card to all of our bags or something, whatever, anything. Or like people that want to do podcasts, like, hey, I need a guest. Cool. Let me come in, There was these kids that came in, the 831 podcast, and they're just youngsters, you know what I mean? But they had me on and we did our thing, and like, me doing that for them and them doing it for me, boom. It's synergy. You rub my back, I rub your back. It's really cool.
Right. Now you mentioned that starting a business is not easy, right? Trust me, I know,
Yeah.
bro. I know I have my own hustle too, bro, and sometimes we face struggles. But have you faced any struggles while launching the Rice Guy? You know what I mean?
Uh, other than just the easy one is just financially, not having the money to kind of keep it going, and then trying to have to find that money somewhere. Whether it's like me selling some of the stuff that I have, or just using the money from my own paycheck sometimes. And I think there's just young business owner things that I've messed up on, overpaying people, like being too nice, like, here, let me give you guys all these hours, and the business will support it. But then the numbers come in, I'm like, oh shit. Like, I am like double up on my labor, and it's gonna take me like a month and a half to pay this off now. And so there's stuff like that I've made mistakes on, but nothing too grand right now. We're still pretty young, we're only 5 months in. And I've been doing a lot of right things. So I think this one's going, like, so far it's going good. So I can't say I've done nothing too bad has happened, other than just, just making sure that I keep it going. I think that's the hardest thing, is making sure that I don't stop.
Right. Don't stop.
Yes.
Keep the momentum going.
Even when I'm tired and people call in sick and we have to hustle or whatever it is, like, I just can't stop. You know what I mean? Because I know the moment you stop it's going to be the death of it, and all the hard work is gone. And now it's really cool because people, I don't want to say they rely on us or anything like that, but they love the food, and they hit us up every time, and they're like, we love you. Don't stop. We want to keep supporting. And so that really gives me some fire.
Yeah,
I'm like,
exactly.
when I don't want to get up in the morning, I'm like, all right, cool. All right, George, I got your meal. Don't worry.
And that's what you need, bro. You need that support. You need that love, because that keeps you going. Because sometimes we get too caught up in our heads that we're like, man, is this really even working? Is this really even working? But then you get that one comment, hey, bro. For me, for example, hey, I heard that episode with Matt. Man, I relate to him, dude. Good job. Keep doing what you're doing. I was like, oh, thank you. You know what I mean? It's like, okay, let's do it again. You know what I mean?
I tell people, it's like, you wouldn't imagine the amount of smiles that you give to people without you knowing. Everything you do, maybe they don't comment, maybe they're just in the shadows, but like, you have like way more people in your corner than you think. And so when I've been doing the Rice Guy, like, people that like love me, or like have just always been like my friend, man, they're showing that support, and it's just so cool to see that. Like, okay, good. Like,
that's
awesome. And even if you're not seeing the support, it might come too. You know what I mean? So I know, like, I think I'm very like, just lucky that I have a lot of people, a lot of love. A lot of love around. With new friends, old friends, people just always, since the moment I started the Rice Guy, I've had so much support and community, and I think it really comes from Elite Team and Seaside. Right? I think that team right there, and the coach there fosters a great community. Nice. And me being there for about 7 years has really allowed my friend group and just people I know, Chris, what I mean, just developed even into this. You know what I mean? Like, without,
shout out to, was it Elite Team?
Elite Team Monterey. Yep.
And shout out to Chris.
Yeah, Chris Kane, best lawyer in Salinas. Yeah.
You mentioned that, obviously your goal is to have the Rice Guy, all over 831, right? Turn it into a brick mortar restaurant. Yes. That's where I see it at. Yes. Where do you see yourself in the next 5 years, dude?
In the next 5 years, well, for one, definitely working at the Rice Guy somewhere in this freaking county. You know what I mean? And I want to keep cooking. You know what I mean? Like, that's my goal. That's my dream. I've always wanted to be a chef. I think the word chef, it's like very pretentious, because I just want to cook. I just want to cook, and I want to create really cool food, and I want to be creative. You know what I mean? Right now, I've been on this journey of like gaining like some media skills with like my cameras and stuff. And I want to also, I guess, in the next 5 years, help people with their business. If I can develop the Rice Guy into something like tangible and real, man, okay.
Be like a mentor.
Yes.
Like
who can I find with ideas and dreams that I had, and really help them get to where I am? Because I think for me, man, there's so many bottlenecks. It's hard for me to get to the next level every single time, because I just don't have the help. I really don't. I don't have, and it's mostly financial, but it also just comes from knowing people like whether it's like people like landlords, or it can go on and on, people with other businesses. And I want to be, hopefully one day, I love this quote, I used to think of it only for kids, but it's like be the person who you needed when you were younger. Because when I was younger, man, I needed like some people. I needed a mentor. I needed someone to save me. You know what I mean? And right now, you know, I don't think I'm anyone. I don't think I'm that person yet. But hopefully one day I can be that person for somebody that I needed, whether it's they're young, you know, or old, or, you know, they have nowhere to go. They don't know what to do, but they got a good idea. I would love, whether it's music, you know, working at Heirloom Pizza, I think, in Salinas, you know, if I see someone that has like some talent with music, hey, jump on stage. Like that's like that. I can help you with that. You know what I mean? I can't like pay you, but I can get you onto a stage where people can see you, and then it's up to you. Now it's your time.
That is amazing you say that, dude, because there's not a lot of people they do what you like, you know, kind of like encourage a lot of people, you know, they tend to be more like hating, you know, more like
I think I'm over encouraging.
No, that's good, bro, and I think that's good because sometimes people need to hear that. They need to hear it, just like you said right now. Hey, go out there, dude. It's up to you. You know, just do it. And we need more like that, dude, because I feel like we live in a world that we're just out there to try to cut each other's throat, you know what I mean? And like, oh, well, if you could do that, I could do it better. And it's just like, no, stop it, you know? Stop it. You know, let's help each other out, grow and stuff like that, and just move forward.
You got to. And it all, like, I think it's, I don't know what people, how they feel when they like hate, but man, you feel so good when you're like, when you see someone grow, you're like, I like, whether you know, you want to be like, oh, because of me, they got big. Like, no, that's not what I'm saying. I'm just saying, like, man, look at them now. It's like like this beautiful flower is like blooming. Like, that's amazing.
You have a nice heart, dude.
Yeah.
You have a nice heart.
You know, I think we're like, for, it works too. Like the jiu-jitsu thing is like, I've been like, I've taught there, and like seeing people start in their journey of jiu-jitsu, and whether they're frail, they don't have movement, they can't control their body well. And then after a couple of months of you working with them, and they gain this confidence, they have a girlfriend, and you see this person kind of just like developing. And I feel like that's how my coach probably sees me now after like 7 years with him. He's just like working with me, developing me, like putting things in my mind, like, hey, you should try this, give it a shot. You know what I mean? And really, when I feel, or if he feels that I am not like pushing hard enough, he's like, hey, you know, it's season. You got to go into another season. You got to push a little harder, or lead. He leads by example. You know what I mean? He's always trying to push his own little business and get more students in. And we work with this.
Where's it at, Monterey? Or
it started in Monterey, and now it's in Seaside, right there on Fremont.
Oh, okay.
Or sorry, Broadway. But we also work with this really cool nonprofit organization called the Guardian Project. It's ran by Ben Kovacs and his friend Joel. They have like 18 gyms across, I think either 18 gyms across the world. And we work with little kids. You can bring your kid in and like train jiu-jitsu for free through the nonprofit. And like us, I think for me, seeing all those little kids doing jiu-jitsu and stuff, that gives me like, and I help them sometimes. It's like, I don't know. Some people are like, I fucking hate kids, this and that. Man, start working with kids. You are gonna just immediately, I think, be a happier person because like you see a little kid learn and like starting to grow. You like kind of like imprint on them a little bit or whatever, and you can really help them. And it just gives you really good energy versus running away from that. People are like, my kids, and that's like, man, if you're sad, go hang out with some kids.
They'll bring you up.
Oh my God, it's so much fun.
You know, jiu-jitsu, and I had the opportunity to do it, dude, back in the day when 24-hour fitness was still open, because they used to train there. It was really cool, dude. I loved it. And then I took some time off, and then when I went back before I got sick, you know, it's just, you know, I loved it, dude. You know, you just put everything on the mat. You know, sometimes I'll get manhandled, dude. You know what I mean? And then the one time I'll manhandle somebody, dude, I felt so proud of myself. You know what I mean?
It's good. It's a good feeling.
Yeah, it's just like
well, I always tell people, when was the last time you got beat up?
Yeah.
And they're like, man, it's been years since my sister beat me up when I was a kid. Or like, when was the last time you beat someone up? You know? And they're like, never. I'm like, you never beat anyone up, ever? Never. You got to come to jiu-jitsu. It's like, it's so empowering.
Shit, I got beat up by a 13-year-old dude. Exactly. I got style, bro. I was so gassed. I was like,
and it's humbling.
Yeah. Then I just said, like, dude, just choke me, bro. I was like,
after training jiu-jitsu, there's nothing else in the day, unless you come across, you know, some crazy stuff in your day. But there's nothing that's gonna be harder than that. That's it. You've done it. You've done the hard part. Everything else in life is gonna be chill. You know.
Yeah. I gotta get back at it again, dude. Talking to Chris and talking to you about it, that is motivating me to get back again.
And it's just one of those things. You're in control.
Yeah.
If you don't have to go too hard. Chill out.
Was it Frank Shamrock always said jiu-jitsu is 95% mental and 5% physical or something like that. It's just a mental game. Or he said it backwards.
It
I
could
don't
be.
know.
It could be. It could be both ways, honestly.
Yeah.
It depends on who you're rolling with.
Yeah, it's a chess game.
It is.
It's a chess game. You know what I mean?
But
So,
you can break a leg or
Yeah.
two. It's really fun. I love it.
yeah. But all right, bro. So personal growth and philosophy. You mentioned your music. You like hip hop, and some of the hip hop has inspired you, right?
Oh, for sure.
What kind of artist has inspired you, dude? With Tupac?
I'll say, you got to go with Tupac right away. You know what I mean? I think growing up listening to Tupac and just hearing, I love Tupac. I love his story. I love, everything about him. And I think just growing up, him talking about his mom, the song, you know what I mean? Like, I've always related with that. And,
Dear mom.
yeah, you know what I mean? It's like, oh, even he had these same issues and stuff. And what they talked about, I don't know. I think I have a different, like, how do you say, like, bar for, like, bullshit. Like,
Right.
you know what I mean? I dealt with so much bullshit when I was younger. And now that I'm older, I see, like, a lot of people, like, getting offended, like, super easily with stuff. And, I think when it comes to, like, what they talk about in hip hop, I think people really love hip hop because they actually they never experienced that. So they're experiencing it through the music. But then I love hip hop because I experienced it. And so it really just, it kind of just constantly reminds me sometimes of like when they talk about struggles and stuff, you know what I mean?
Well, that's how hip hop was back then, dude.
Yeah.
I was just talking about struggles. Tupac just talking about his stories and everything. Growing up, how hard was it, and the project and stuff like that. So I don't like the new hip hop. No,
Yeah, it's different. You know what I mean? I think right now with like the whole Kendrick and everything. I think what he's doing like to promote or put out a message is very similar to what Tupac did. He put a lot of messages out, and he changed a lot through his like life. But there's also a lot of like that. I love the '90s stuff, like conscious rap. You know what I mean? Like Tribe Called Quest. Talib Kweli. Black Star, Most Def. Like even just like beats. Just like listening to Jay Dilla and like stuff like that.
I have no idea who all those guys are.
Yeah,
bro.
they're just like old school hip hop people, but they also are talking about like they're not talking about guns and drugs. They're talking a lot of just about like philosophy in life and just really like thinking about or calling out like like putting attention to certain issues.
Right.
And I like that type of music. Not always do I want to listen to just like pop and like everything's good. We're having a party and drink up and like that kind of stuff. I just don't relate with that. So, but yeah.
I know you mentioned earlier that the support, having the support of the community, friends, loved ones, motivates you to keep going. Is there anything else that motivates you to keep going every day, keep pushing yourself?
Yeah, for sure. Well, I have a son. I had him really young, 13. I mean, at like 21.
I was like, damn, bro.
Not 13. Sorry, he's 13. He's 13 now. I would say for sure, my son motivates me. You know what I mean?
Okay.
I talk to him all the time. He's like, hey, how's the Rice Guy thing going? So our relationship is a little, is not perfect. His mom, she grew up in Gonzales. Me and her lived in Salinas, and then we had our own issues and everything, and she ended up moving to New Mexico when he was like 5 or 6.
Oh wow.
So we have like a long distance relationship. You know what I mean? So on top of all my other stuff, like man, that was a struggle. Dealing with his mom and dealing with our relationship. But me and him go on a trip like every year somewhere. So
nice.
So when he was really young, I actually I took him to Japan prior to this last time I went. We've been to Hawaii. Last year we went to Vegas. And I think this coming up year, I'm working really hard to try to go on another trip. I think we're going to go to Montreal.
Oh, nice.
He keeps me motivated, honestly. You know what I mean?
Good, dude.
My dad, no good. My mom, whatever.
You try to be,
Yeah,
you're being a better version.
I'm going to freaking take this kid to the stars. You know what I mean?
Nice.
And whatever I can do to do that, I will. You know what I mean? The sacrifice are easy. You know what I mean? What is it? Just work? Okay, cool. I can do that. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
And I want to build him something. I want to give him something that I didn't have, and that's that cushion. That's that support. Hey, Dad, I want to try something. Okay, cool. Let's do it. Let's do it.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? And be okay with failing. And not that my family, I could reach out to my family and be like, hey, Theas, it's me again. You know what I mean? Boom. I need $1,000 from all of you or something like that. And I I wouldn't put it past them that they would actually give that to me.
Yeah.
But I don't want to do that. I want to do it myself. I don't want to. I feel like I owe them already so much.
So much. Yeah.
Too much, you know, for me to be here now today, it's all because of them. You know what I mean? And even though, you know, I like work in silence, you know, I'm still like just hustling every day, working, you know, I need to do a better job of like reaching out to them and constantly, but they hit me up and stuff on my birthday and everything. But my goal is just that one day when I get to where I think I want to be, I can give them something, you know, and whether it's just me being there, if that is enough for them, and I hope that is. But I want to give them anything I can. You know what I mean? Because I don't want to take what they've given me and like waste it. Yeah.
You always want to remember those that were always there for you.
Oh, for sure.
And that's the thing that I always carry with me. Like, you know, once, like, for example, I have a goal that this will blow up even more. You know what I mean? And when it does, I know that I'm always going to give back. You know, give back to the community, keep exposing people, keep sharing people's stories like yours, you know? So we always have that in the back of our heads, you know. Even in my journey as an entrepreneur too, on my side hustle, I always have that. Like I have a mentor, and then I have another mentor. So I always like, and then the people around me that are trying to learn from me. So it's kind of like, you know, if I'm gonna make it, you're gonna make it. You know, but we just gotta work hard. And I always have that in my mind. So I agree with you. Now, here's the thing, bro. I feel like you've been successful, but I gotta ask you this question. You know, how do you define your success?
Man. You know, I love the Bob Marley, like, there's a Bob Marley interview. They're like, hey, are you guys, rich? Like, are you rich? He's like, what do you mean by rich? You know, like possessions. And man, I think it's like very similar. Like, I don't want, you know, I need money. Don't get me wrong. I need some oxygen. I want to take my son places. I want to do things myself. So definitely being able to do what I want to do and travel and eat, I think that would, you know, let me know, okay, you're doing something right. You're successful because what you set out to do, you're doing it.
Right.
But one of my dreams is to be able to open up like a nonprofit restaurant for people that can, across the board, whether you're an owner of a restaurant, you know, you have to, you know, you take money for yourself. You know what I mean? Of course, you built a restaurant, you created a business, that money's yours, and rightfully so. You know what I mean? But restaurants, man, are notorious for abusing employees, whether through like work ethic, you know, not paying them on time, not paying overtime. Just across the board of like restaurants are just have a bad rap, you know, a lot of, you know, or they abuse people, you know what I mean? Like they really do. Right. Working for free, you know what I mean? I've worked for free for so long, you know, it would have been nice to have a couple bucks. But I would love to one day open up a nonprofit restaurant in Monterey County where the people of the restaurant get it all.
Nice.
Where you can have like an old lady making tortillas for like $45 an hour because all the money on the top, all the profits and all things just go right back to the employees. And me as like the nonprofit like organizer, you know, I just make sure that business is just running.
Right.
I don't need to take anything from it. I don't want anything from it. But whoever does work there just can know that the money is just coming right back to them. So they're gonna work hard. They're gonna not be jaded and be like, I'm not gonna, you know, some people, a lot of things that happen at restaurants are just because people don't give a fuck about them because they're not being supported enough. And I think the food in this area will like skyrocket and get even better and better. Everyone loves the food here. It can get way better. You know what I mean? Across the board, better restaurants. If a lot of the business owners that ran restaurants didn't take so much, but in this world, how could you how can you fault them? Other than someone out there with a kind heart creating a business, that's not for them.
Right.
For somebody else. So I think if I can ever create that in Salinas, man, I would consider myself very successful because I'm going to be helping, even if it's just 10 people.
Yeah.
Those 10 people are going to have a job for a long time doing something that they love and also creating good food that's going to like go out into the community and maybe set a good example for other people.
If you could give an advice to your younger self, what would it be?
Ooh, man. So what would I give my, advice to myself?
I always have to ask this question to all my guests, bro. So
I have a lot of, the list goes on and on and on.
But if you had one advice, what would you give yourself?
I would probably, man, that's really tough. Like, probably just focus on being happy. I think a lot of times when I was cooking, I was focusing on other goals. Whether I wanted to be a good cook, I wanted money. I wanted to I had all these dreams and ambitions.
Right.
I think for a while I missed out on a lot of things: birthdays, holidays, events, conversations. I don't know. It can go on and on. Moments, memories, because I was too focused on cooking.
Right.
Cooking. That's all I wanted to do. I was so hyper focused, and I think I just missed out on a lot of happiness.
Right.
Because I definitely a time when I was really grinding in the cooking, I wasn't happy. You know what I mean? For sure, waking up tired, not making any money.
You were in the grind mode.
Yeah.
Yeah.
But I think during that time there was moments where I could have balanced it out a little bit better and could have got a little bit more life.
Right.
Because now I think I learned this in Japan is where now I focus very much so that I have a good lifestyle and a good work-life balance, even though some people say that, hey, if you're an entrepreneur, you're a business owner, that doesn't exist. And it really doesn't, but I think there's ways to mitigate it and really try to, it's like you're sacrificing, it's not a sacrifice. You're giving yourself something, but sacrificing some of your day for yourself is something that I think I would tell myself, because I think I gave up too much stuff, way too much stuff. Even going to see my son more. You know what I mean? That kind of stuff, seeing him on his little stuff, just taking a plane trip out there. But it's, I would have to give up these jobs basically, at the time.
Here's the thing though. You learn from your 20s. Now you're applying that in your 30s.
Yeah.
Right? So now it's you know what to do.
Yeah.
And I think that everybody needs to have that understanding that if you felt some type of way during a certain period of time where felt I should have done this, I should have done that, and you already to a point where you're okay, I do have the time now.
Yeah.
Apply it.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? Apply it.
Just because you messed up before doesn't mean you don't have to keep doing it again.
It's not like you messed up. It's just a learning experience. It's now, that's why I asked that question, because now you're going back, I wish I would have spent more time being happy. But it's it's not that you don't want to.
Yeah.
It's you're on a hustle mode.
Yeah.
You wanted to accomplish something. You wanted to learn something. You wanted to grow as an individual. And that's one thing that you sacrifice, right? Now it's oh, okay, now that I know that I sacrificed that, now I got to apply it now. You know what I mean?
No, yeah. And I really am. I'm really trying to apply it across the board. And I think I've always been a nice person.
Yeah.
But I think I've kept a lot of that niceness inside.
Right.
And I'm oh, you know what I mean? And now I'm forcing myself to go out of my way to be even nicer and, and try to put out a lot more goodwill. Even though I feel have put that out, but whether if it could be anything, even for the Rice Gai, I'm just reaching out to random people. Hey, you guys hungry? Let me just give you some free food or whatever. And I don't need to do that because honestly, it doesn't really come back around.
We're always hungry here, bro.
Yeah, but just stuff like that, you know what I mean?
Yeah.
Even when jiu-jitsu, if I see maybe in my early years of jiu-jitsu, if I see someone doing something wrong, I'm nah, I'm not gonna I'm just gonna let them do it wrong.
Yeah, so you could learn.
Or maybe not learn. I'm gonna keep the secret to myself. You know what I mean? But now, as more of an instructor, I'll go out of my way, even if I don't like the guy, or girl or something. You know what I mean? I can't.
I feel you have to be like that, bro. Because for me, I would like somebody to tell me, "Hey, dude, you're doing it the wrong way, bro." Yeah. It's okay, then I'll be able to correct it right there and then. But if I wait until 7 or 8, 9 times, and then finally someone tells me, dude, how come you didn't tell me in the beginning, dog? I could perfect it, or maybe I'll still struggle, but I know what I was doing. You know what I mean? I don't know. It's just
I do it in cooking a lot with my kitchen staff and everyone. They get upset with me because they're man, you're always well, it's kind of my job telling them what to do. But I was hey, do you want to get better? Because that's what someone told me as a chef. My goal, fuck all the bullshit. My goal is to make you better. Yeah. And whether you like it or not, that's a real good manager, a real good leader, a real good mentor. You're gonna get better no matter what. Just a good. You go to the gym and you have a guy that trains you. He's not gonna be hey, yeah, just keep lifting 5-pound weights. You're gonna be great. No, he's gonna put you through the gauntlet and he's gonna make you physically better because that's why you're going.
And that's good that you point that out to your staff because, like I said, going back, we live in a world where a lot of people are sensitive now. Even if you text something, they take that text out of context, bro. And as a manager, as a leader, or trying to build a team or whatever you want to build, you gotta be able to have that trust, or not trust, but be able to be forward with that person. And they need to understand that you're not being mean about it because you want them to grow and be successful. But a lot of people are so sensitive, they take it the wrong way. I've come across that where that they take the wrong way. Sometimes I have to be the one that initiates the conversation. Look, can I give you a constructive criticism, or can I give you an advice, or can I tell you something? But I don't mean in a bad way. I'm about to say because I want you to grow, or for you to learn better, or you become better. Now it's like, man, it sucks that I have to go through all that to get my advice through because people are sensitive now.
Yeah,
bro.
and then sometimes nothing comes from it.
Yeah.
And so it is hard pill to swallow. It's like, man, I just spent a year with this person teaching, and then maybe they just quit on you, or maybe they get out of the industry that you're in. It's like, oh, well, dang, I just spent like a lot of energy, but you can get jaded. I've given people cookbooks, and maybe they're just trying to spark that interest, the kind of give them some fire, and then they leave and they steal my book.
Yeah.
And I'm like, damn, at least give me the book back. You know what I mean? And then I've had other people where I buy them knives or something like that, and then they just quit. And I was like, well, dang, I was trying to show you that I'm investing in you, know. And then they don't have any
That's the part of learning as a manager, as a mentor, whatever you want to call it. It's a learning curve because
it's hard.
I guess you get to a point where you want to, which person you want to do that to, and which person you don't want to do that to. You know what I mean? So I guess you will get to that point. I'm not sure if you got to that point already where I don't know if I should give this guy a book. You know what I mean?
I'm like that. And, it's okay. I think at the end of the day, I love this movie called The Bronx Tale. And and there's a part where this kid's this kid owes someone else 20 bucks. Yeah. And he's like, why are you yelling at this guy? You look like a clown. He's like, oh, you owe me 20 bucks. And he was like, do you like this guy? This and that. He's like, nah, not really. He's like, all right, well, it costs you 20 bucks
to get rid of him.
Yes.
Yeah.
And sometimes that is true because this guy that took my book, I actually don't want him in my life. You know what I mean? So I love those kind of stories, or I look back at those kind of movies and stuff, and I take a lot of
that's one of my favorite movies.
Yeah, that's like I was saying, I didn't grow up with a lot of male figures, so when I look at those types of movies, a lot of my who I am and how I think came from these movies, because those are these fake characters are kind of who taught me some life lessons, because I really didn't have anyone to teach me those. You know what I mean? And that one right there,
I have two more questions for you, bro. For those listening who might be struggling with their own challenges, what message will you want them to, what message do you want to leave for them?
Man, depending on the type of issues and challenges, first thing that I will promote is physical activity. If you're feeling down, get your ass to the gym. I'll talk about jiu-jitsu all day, how it's changed my life, how much confidence it's given me, how it's opened up my friendship and my community and all that. That's one of the first things. If you're depressed or something, I don't want to say why or the reasons why anyone is depressed or anything like that, but I know when I go work out and have people around me, I don't feel depressed. I feel really happy. If it's business, if you're struggling with a business and you're kind of not sure what step to take, I think just going out of your way to ask just other business people that maybe you don't know for a quick piece of advice, because those people were you probably not too long ago. Right. And they probably were like, I needed someone to tell me this. You know what I mean? So I think for that, if you're just struggling and you have an idea and you don't know if you want to do it, one, talk to someone. They'll probably give you some advice. Maybe some you're trying to say some haters out there, don't do it. Don't open it. Because they want to keep the pie for themselves. Yeah. So you'll know who's cool because they'll probably, it's good to be naive a little bit and talk to people, even to people that maybe don't know you, be like, hey, you go for it. You go shoot for your goals. And sometimes you need just that little bit of motivation, even from people you don't know. You know what I mean? But yeah, I would say there's those two things. Get out there, get after it. That's one of the first steps for me that really pushed me forward in my life. Just getting out of bed and not being so sad. Going to the gym, finding people, because a lot of people that go to the gym, either one, again, were you not too long ago, which is why they're at the gym, and you can relate to those people. And I think finding people that you can relate to is going to get you out of any funk that anyone's in.
That's nice, dude. Because one thing that I always say is always surround yourself with good-minded people. Always have that type of people around you. People are gonna push you, elevate you to become better. You're always gonna have that one friend that whatever you do. Yeah. And I get those, bro. I get those a lot. All of a sudden, motivator speaker or are like, oh, Mr. Podcaster, you know what I mean? It's just like, okay, cool, you know. I used to take it personal, but now it's like, all right, cool. Now I see it like, okay, now I know who you are.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? And then I get the real ones that are like, hey, dude, good job, you know, like keep doing
They're
it,
excited
bro,
for
you
you.
know. They give you more, some of them give me more ideas, you know.
Yes.
You know, and I was like, oh, okay, cool, you know.
Hey, you need the haters. You know what I mean? Cat Williams, says that he's like, I have 25 haters. I need 30 more before the end of the year. You know you're doing something right.
Yeah,
And even if it's your family, your family's gonna hate on you and stuff too and all that. But you need that. You need it. You can't have yes men around you. And that's like probably good advice too. Is just like if everyone's saying yes to you, yes, go find a hater. Like, because maybe they're gonna find maybe actually tell you some true shit. Like, hey, your food ain't that good. You know what I mean? Everyone's telling you everything's delicious because they love you. All your tias are telling you you're cute and everything. And man, you're ugly.
Last question, bro, is that where can people follow your journey, support the Rice Gai, or reach out to you?
So the first thing is to follow us on the Rice Gai. It's the Rice Gai. Gai is a chicken in Thai. So that's why we put that there. That's for sure. Follow us on the Rice Gai. We're really trying to get bigger. We want to feed everybody. We want real feedback. It's a very humble food, just chicken and rice. We have fried chicken. We have a pork dish on there too. And then I have my Instagram. It's what is it? Life of _Greg. Those are my two things. Follow the Guardian Project for jiu-jitsu. If you ever think about doing jiu-jitsu, the Guardian Project, Elite Team Monterey. I'm also at Heirloom Pizza. I really want to promote Heirloom as much as I can. I think for Salinas, as a venue for people to come and do things. The owner, Mike Foley, super cool guy, open to a lot of stuff. If you're an artisan, you do poetry, man, anything. These people love art and they want to support people too. They're just a little out of the mix. You know what I mean? So sometimes it's hard to get in touch with them, but come into Heirloom if you do anything, even podcasts. We have a whole stage. I want to.
And that's what I was thinking, a live podcast.
Yeah, stuff like that. You know what I mean? We've done burlesque shows. We have, if you're a local hip hop artist, if you play the violin, I see these little kids playing on the street, with a guitar or like a saxophone or something. I'm like, you don't need to be on the street anymore. Just come and talk to us at Heirloom Pizza. And on a Friday, Thursday, just come and play on the stage. You have nothing to lose. We have nothing to gain from it. You know what I mean? Other than maybe a couple people come to see you, but I want right now for me in my life for the next, couple years is really working with Salinas, do what I can. I can't do much now, but I think with a group behind me of good people, like-minded people, anyone that is trying to come up right now, just like how I am, if we can all just come together, do it together, repost our stuff, share each other, buy each other's products. If you cut hair, you know what I mean? Come buy my food. I'll come get a haircut from you. I think that's the kind of stuff that I really want to promote, and I hope that people support me, and then I could also support them.
Right. No, and I appreciate you coming, dude.
Thank you so much.
Appreciate you reaching out. I loved your story. I hope you guys got inspired. Go check out Greg Goyo at the Rice Gai. And check out Heirloom Pizza. It's really good pizza. I love that pizza there, dude. It reminds me of the... Damn it, I forgot the name of the pizza in Campbell. Oh, my God. I just went blank, dude.
It's good food. You know what I mean?
Yeah, it's really good pizza. I love it. I got to go back in there when it's my cheat day.
Yeah.
I'm on a diet. But definitely, thank you guys for tuning in. Hope you guys enjoy this episode, bro. Thank you again for taking the day of your time to be here because I know you got to get back to work right now.
Hey, it's all
good.
But
awesome story. And that's it for today. Stay tuned for the next episode. We're out.
Thank you.